So, welcome everyone to Fanning the Flame podcast. This week we are talking to Ellie Alton. Ellie's been in the church 30 odd years and is married to Chris Alton, one of our elders. I'm sure she'll say a little bit more as we go through, but Ellie, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Excited, scared? How are you feeling?
Really relaxed. Depends how much you drill me.
Of course we won't, because we never grill anybody on this podcast more than we want to. For those that are new to the podcast, we explore everyday stories about how God speaks to and uses everyday people in everyday situations to fulfill his eternal purposes. Through those stories, we want to be encouraging you, helping you to find hope and direction in your everyday walk with Jesus. So let's just crack straight in and hear from Ellie. This is the big question series. Everybody knows that we always do the quick fire or slow fire questions at the start. So let's get straight in there. So Ellie, tell us a little bit about you. I don't know, anything you'd like to tell us, family, parents, kids, maybe even where you were born. I'll let you just enlighten us.
I shall answer the ones that were under questions. So it says age first. So I am 53 in about 355 days. I was actually born in Derby.
Oh, right.
I moved to Sapkirk when I was about 5. So I've lived kind of here, apart from a few years at university, I've lived around these ways for most of my life. I have one older brother who also lives locally. I am married to Chris. We've been married, just had our 30th, we had an anniversary. We've been married 30 years. And I have 3 children. Ethan is 26. He lives up in Bolton with his wife, Courage. And then my girls, Megan and Amelia, are 23. And they're both in the church and both married.
Twins, aren't they?
And they are twins, yeah.
I was going to say, because being 23, you either had them very close together or the twins.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, some people don't know. Some people go, oh, are you 2 twins?
And just out of interest, because everyone probably will ask you, how do you tell the difference between them?
I mean, they're very different, and I've never quite understood that question. But I think as their mum, I'm like, well, they're just different to me. Whereas people say, oh, it was a lot worse when they were little and they were wearing school uniform and had exactly the same colour hair. That was an issue.
Did you buy them the same clothes? Did you buy them the same clothes and stuff and put them in the same?
No, never dressed them the same. Wanted them very much to be their own little people, and they were anyway.
Yeah. And they are.
Yeah, now it's easy. They one dyes a hair, so it's easy now.
Brilliant. Tell us a little bit about your current job.
Current job, I work for Leicestershire County Council, and I work in families and children. And my job title is a Family Hub Support Officer, which means very little to the rest of the world. But basically, I manage a team of support staff who are based in our family hubs, which what used to be called Sure Starts. And along with the job share, we cover the whole west of the county for the whole of Leicestershire. So yeah, that's my current job. I've been doing in this role about 2 years. I've been with the council nearly 9 years, all in children and families.
Has that always been an interest area then, or is that just where the jobs have fallen?
Yeah, it kind of happened accidentally, but I do enjoy it. You get to see a lot of different life. My job prior to this particular one, I was working in a contact centre, and that's where families who've had their children removed have a supervised time with their children. And I really enjoyed that. It was very challenging, and you're dealing with a lot of people with drug and alcohol issues and domestic violence, quite a lot of that. And you generally in that role, you generally sort of see people at their very, very worst. because nobody wants their children taken off them. So,
Where's that
but I
interest
really
come
enjoyed
from?
that.
Where's that interest come
I don't
from?
know. I honestly don't know, because prior to that, I'd was able to have a few years off with the children, but prior to that, I worked for HSBC Bank, so
Oh, right.
very different.
Karen worked for the
Yeah,
bank. Sorry, my Karen, for
she
those
did.
listeners. She worked for the bank for, I
Yeah,
don't know, 30 years or something.
yeah.
Oh, so
No, we
you're in the
used to see
same
each
as her?
other sometimes.
Oh, did you
Yeah,
really?
we used to see each other. We were in the same building. Yeah, for a short time there was a crossover. Yeah,
Oh, I never knew that.
but yeah, that was years ago.
Wow. Yeah, she's not been in the bank for years, and obviously
No,
likewise.
I've not either. No, no. So I kind of fell into this job, but I like it. It's rewarding. Um,
Brilliant. So
yeah,
tell us about some of the things that you do when you're not working, and obviously looking after your kids, even though they've all moved out.
lots of church things. Um, what I enjoy is I like reading, like watching the telly. That's being honest there. I did history at university, so I'm a real history nerd. So lots of my reading is books about history. If Chris and I have a day out
Particular
together,
style or a particular era?
all sorts. I'll have phases where I'm into a certain period, might be the Tudors or Second World War or whatever. But Chris and I, if we've got a day out or a few days away together, we'll generally do something. We'll visit somewhere historic. We'll do something like that.
Just out of interest, what sort of programs? Obviously, I don't watch a lot of telly because I'm busy like you with a lot of church and stuff and podcasting.
Live, yeah. And podcast, yeah, all sorts. I'm not into, obviously soap operas or game shows, but a good murder mystery or an Agatha Christie. Love stuff like that.
Brilliant. I've got caught up in Clarkson's Farm, which I
We
never
are
thought
watching that.
You're watching it?
Yeah.
I never thought I'd enjoy it, to be honest, but farming is just fascinating when you see it, how it's done. So, yeah.
It is quite addictive, isn't it? It is interesting.
No, it is. I don't like this whole idea where we can just keep watching any episode whenever we like, though, because then I can watch 2 or 3 together if I have a bad night.
Yeah.
So that's not great. Tell us about some of the places that you might go with Chris, some of your favourite places that you visited, maybe.
Well, this was tricky. When someone asked me what my favourite place is, my answer is probably like home. Like I love going to see places, but I really love home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We don't tend to revisit places generally. Some people will go on holiday somewhere and then they might go back there again and again. We're not really like that. We like to go to different places. So, lots of different places I've recently enjoyed. We went to Brussels a couple of years ago and just loved that, just the history and, we love places like that. And again, anything historical, give me a castle or a cathedral, I'm happy.
See, so my mum is currently going around the UK trying to tick off every single cathedral in the UK.
Good for her.
And there's a little book that you can get stamped, Ellie. So, and so.
And we went to Winchester recently, Cathedral, and that was amazing. Ask your mum if she's been there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, they do lots of tours, don't they, as well, and stories. And so you've obviously got a best memory at all, Ellie?
That's a hard one. I don't think one specific. I think things like that change, don't they, as you go through life. But of recently, I think the 3 children's wedding days were just so special. We just really felt God's presence. So yeah, those 3. We've had 3 weddings in almost as many years, but they were just really special, blessed days. So I'm going to say that at the moment they're my favourite memories.
It's funny. A few people have said recently that their kids' weddings are their most famous, most memorable ones, more than their own. Probably because you're caught up in your own so much more, whereas you can go to theirs and just actually enjoy it, can't you?
Yeah.
But it's nice to see your kids with a good grounding and bringing that through in their wedding days as well. So that's nice. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you met Chris, and all the nice, cool pieces. Like obviously he saw you, fell for you instantly, and all of that.
Okay. We met at a youth day in Bradford in what I think would have, I want to say 1993, I think. We'd gone to this youth day. He'd gone with his youth, which was Leicester Christian Fellowship. And I had gone with my youth, which was when I was at university. I went to the Southport Church. So we had all gone on a bus to this youth day. Larry Tomzak was speaking. And we just met through some mutual friends, just introduced us to each other. And it went from there. And we kind of got chatting because I was obviously from Leicestershire and he was from Leicester. So we got chatting. Obviously he was obsessed with me from day one, obviously.
Obviously, Ellie. It took you a number of years.
Yeah. He wore me down eventually. No, I think that was in the February, and then we sort of started dating in the September. So sort of bumped into each other a few times in between that time period. Yeah, and then started going out in the September. And then I went back. We were both just about to start our third year in university. So we started dating, and then a week later I went back up north. So we had our first year apart, wrote long letters, which was lovely. Nobody writes letters anymore, but
I was going to say, I don't think people write letters anymore, do they?
no.
The odd text.
Yeah, wrote long letters. And then I moved back in with my parents, and we got married in 1996.
All right, lovely.
So
and
2
how
or
did
3
he
years
propose?
later.
How did he propose? Come on, Ellie.
He did, well, it was New Year's Eve, and we'd gone for a walk round near his parents' house. It was lovely. It's a very nice place. For nice walks, but we ended up in a churchyard, so he didn't actually propose in a graveyard, which sounds it was better than it sounds.
Sounds dead
But
romantic.
he did surprise me. It was very picturesque, and he did surprise me. I didn't know it, and he picked the ring and everything.
Wow,
He
that's a risk, isn't
borrowed
it?
the money from his. I know, he borrowed the money from his nana for the ring.
Oh, he sounds top.
Top drawer.
He is, isn't he? That's brilliant. Oh, I love that. Love that. So tell us a little bit about your mum and dad, if you can.
Yeah, my dad was an engineer, born and brought up in South London. And my mum was a teacher, and she was born and brought up in West Yorkshire. So they kind of were from very different parts of the world. And they met at university, and then mostly lived in the Midlands in between the two. So yeah, I grew up with a mum with a Yorkshire accent and my dad with a South London accent, which was quite funny.
Brilliant, that is. And you never thought about becoming a teacher then?
No, I think when you've lived with a teacher, it puts you off.
Yeah.
It definitely did me.
People or person that you admire, look up to, or someone that's inspired you, Ellie? Is there anybody, or is there a number of people that you might just mention?
Yeah, probably a number. But considering this really quickly, because I didn't really plan for this question, but actually I did admire my mum. She was quite an incredible person. She was kind of always doing things and getting kind of just very interesting person. She would work, quite a lot when we were very small. So she'd be working as a teacher, and then she'd have small children, but then she would also, like, she stood to be a county councillor, and she did Open University when we were children, and every few years she'd do something new. She trained to be a Weight Watchers lecturer, or
Wow.
and then she decided she'd train to be a speech and drama teacher. So alongside her normal teaching, she would do that on a Saturday, and she was just this incredibly interesting person. And then she did her master's later in life, and she was just really interesting and did all sorts of different things. So yeah, I hugely. I mean, I will say she's passed away now. She was a shockingly bad cook. So shocking. But yeah, just this very interesting, intelligent person who I hugely admired, really. She had a huge capacity to do a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. And did she pass on her cooking skills to you, Ellie?
I am largely, I like to think I'm a decent cook, but I am self-taught, totally self-taught, which was awful.
I'm sure Chris and the kids have been happy with it so far. So.
Yeah, I hope so. I can cook. I'm not very good at baking. I can't really bake, but I can cook. Yeah.
Brilliant. And over the years, I'm guessing there's a range of songs. Most people tell us about one of their favourite Christian songs, and then they go, Stu, I've got about 3, 4. Is there any particular one that you have in mind, Ellie, that you'd like to share, and why?
Well, this was a tricky one, because I think when you've walked with the Lord so many years, my favourite Christian song will change every few years. Do you know what I mean? Because you then discover a new one and you like a new one. So I've picked one that's a fairly newish one. I think it's simply called You Are the Greatest. And I think I discovered it in COVID, actually. And it's on my playlist. And I think it's just so incredibly simple.
Mm.
And it's just talking all about him and what he does. And it is really just simple and him focused, rather than us. Yeah.
I'd not heard it before, and I listened to it obviously prior to the episode, and it's a lovely song. You have to be careful nowadays, is that the songs can sometimes not really focus on the right things. Yeah. And when I listened to this and read these lovely words, it is absolutely focused on him. And in the middle there, it says, "We stand amazed and gaze at his beauty. Your glory is above the heavens." Just beautiful words, don't they? And the rhythm and the way the song sang, because it's quite repetitive. It really does give you that focus back, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I've like I say, I think I discovered it 5 or 6 years ago, and I've just still really like it as a song that's, like you say, it's proper worship. It's focusing on him and who he is.
No, exactly.
So yeah,
brilliant. So let's go a little bit on to how God speaks to you and how he directs you, Alex. God directs us in lots of different ways and speaks in lots of different ways. How does he do that for you, Ellie?
I think probably like most people, lots of ways. I think I often hear him through the word, be it, something I've just looked up and that hits you. So I think for me, the word is important. I think I heard a phrase many years ago which really resonated, which was, I hear God speaking to me in my own voice. And I think that's, when the Holy Spirit puts something in your mind and it's almost like familiar. I have heard from him through dreams, actually. That's happened to me. Not loads and loads, but
any examples?
A few times. Yeah, quite a few. One that's really recent was we were waiting for something to happen, and we're praying about something and it didn't happen, and I very clearly, in sort of that half awake, half asleep state, saw some traffic lights and a red light, and then God saying something. So that was fairly recent. I've also had a kind of a bit of a discernment in dreams where I there's been something about someone that's been very off, and the Lord had revealed to me, and this has probably only happened twice in my life, but the Lord kind of revealed to me in a dream what that thing was.
Yeah.
So it's not a regular thing, but it has happened, and that's quite exciting. It's quite a blessing.
So when you're making decisions and it's like, or you need some clarity, is there one specific way that he speaks, or is it just particularly through just reading the Bible on a passage, or how does he do that when you're making decisions?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, when you're kind of laying something before the Lord, so it's through prayer, isn't it? You say, "I need to hear from you on this," and you look for guidance. But I think God is very creative, and He'll find creative ways to speak to you. So He can speak to you through the word, but He can also speak to you through a preach or a prophetic word that someone else has brought, or something someone just feels to share with you on a one-to-one.
Mm.
Which God does all those things for me. Someone was telling me recently about something their child had said to them. And I said, "Oh, do you know what? That's really spoken to me and what I'm thinking about right now." And she just told me, "Oh, my little boy said this." And I went, "No, that's really spoken to me." I think when you're making life decisions, one thing that has always served me well is to really say to God, "I want you to open the doors that are right and shut the doors that are wrong." And walk in that and keep praying that. And he's always done that. And there's been, I don't know, jobs or various things that things haven't gone as I thought they would. And I've seen that as, no, God shut that door then for a reason. And most times I can find out that reason. It's usually later. And I think, oh, right, no, actually, I'm glad I didn't get that job because now I know. Da, 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 da. So that has always served me well when you're making life decisions about, God, I want to do your will. I want you to put me where you want me, but please shut doors that are wrong and open doors that are right.
Yeah, and I suppose if you go back to what you were saying, that is you hear him in in your own voice. You
Yeah,
just get this. It sounds like there's just this inner, you just this inner voice that just speaks in the way that you like to hear, in a tone
yeah,
that's
a
distinctively
sense of,
different to you, but it is in.
yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to describe, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think God can be creative and He can speak to us in any
Yeah.
number of ways, and through fellow believers,
No, absolutely. And he gifts us in many different ways as well, Ellie. How would you say that God's gifted you, and how has he used you in the past with those gifts?
Um, that's an interesting one. I have to be quite honest about that and say it's not something I ever really think about. I never really spend much time or focus on gifts that I may or may not have. So my instinct is sometimes go, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know how God's gifted me. That's for other people to say," if that makes sense. But I suppose what I can say is what I enjoy, and that is or what I feel called to. Um, for both of us, we've always felt from very early on called to the church, to
Mm.
serve the church. So therefore, I enjoy serving in whatever capacity is right for that season. And I've done all sorts. I'm a youth on Sunday leader at the minute. Quite enjoying that. I love to serve,
Mm.
and I also really enjoy spending time with other women and encouraging them. Usually, maybe women younger in the faith, or I really enjoy talking about parenting with women who are at a different stage to me, and things like that, and parenting with faith. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I like to encourage other women. That's a very round way of not really answering the question.
Well, but we naturally fall into some of these things just because of our natures, don't we? And
Yeah,
when we talk about gifting, sometimes I think we think it's something that's something that's given to us, and therefore it's a bit unique. Whereas I often see it as, well, God's given us our nature and our character and our interests and passions, and therefore, if you're a server, if you're an encourager, if you're if you like to speak to people, if you like history, or you do data, or whatever it is, he gives us and we'll hear from Isaac Dransfield this morning. It's just been released, and he was an architect, and God works in that. And so those gifts are very different, but they're not necessarily something in addition to all the time, which is lovely. What got you into doing the kids, the youth stuff?
I did kids work for donkey's years. I mean, donkey's years. And then obviously your own children sort of grow up, and then it felt right to finish that for a season, and then I was on the hosting team, I think, for a short while. I think I probably prompted by God. I thought, I think youth, I might enjoy that, and I do. I really enjoy that. I don't do a Friday night, but I do youth on Sunday. And do enjoy it.
What do you do with youth on a Sunday then? Just tell me a little bit about what you do with them.
It's only sort of once or twice a month, and the idea with youth on Sunday is that you're transitioning children that have been in Hot Rock and going out every Sunday to then being in youth and being in the meeting. So it's a bit of a halfway house for them. So some Sundays they'll come out and have youth on Sunday, but it's not as regular. So then what we try and do is, because the aim is to sort of for them to feel really integrated into the main meeting, we'll maybe go over a preach that they've missed from a previous time, and we'll kind of break that down into more maybe child friendly, because some of them are only 11. They're 11, 12, 13, up to 14, maybe 15. So we might do a game, and then we might do a bit of work around this particular preach, and just talk to them about it, ask them questions, get them to think about various themes. But we do kind of simplify it and work on, let's reinforce, 2 or 3 things from that preach that we can really embed in these young people.
And, you clearly have an interest in people, don't you? Because when you look at the job that you've got and have done, and then you look at like kids' work, and then it's like youth work, bits as well. Interested in.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Yeah, and I like working with people. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd do well just working on my own either. And I've talked to people about this at work, says I am much better around lots of people, energy from people. So that is fair, and I do like to.
It's interesting you should say energy, because in my job, I do training development. So people always go, so ask the question, what's your strengths and weaknesses then? And I just think it's the most bizarre question, because what I'm actually strong at doesn't necessarily energize me. And therefore I ask people the question, so what energizes you when you go to work or in your social life? What is it that actually you're excited about, or you come out at the end of it and you go, oh yeah, and you just feel a load of energy? And if you can get into a job that gives you a good percentage of energy, and you'll never get 100% from any job, because every job has, you're energized. It sounds like yours is being around people, leading people, guiding, supporting, because you've got a team as well, haven't you? So you've got a team as well as the people that you help.
Yeah, I do manage people, and I do have the capacity to work from home sometimes. But for me, if I've done that for more than a day, that deflates me whereas if I go into the office and have a few meetings or see a few people, I'm not great doing that all the time, sat in front of a computer. I can do it for so long, but after a while I need something else.
I know, but I think it's just a really interesting one that not many people see. I would be honest, I don't know whether I would have said that about yourself because I don't really know you, Ellie. But it's great already listening
Yeah,
to you tonight. I'm already sitting there thinking, wow, being a people person is quite a gift, and is quite a strength. I
yeah,
think when you are those kind of people, I'm one of those.
yeah,
It's not you can, it's easy to put yourself down, and it's always easy to look at everybody else's stuff, and I think to be able to relate and to get on with people, certainly in your role, whether it's leading people, which is quite difficult, or people in crisis, and being able to cope with what you're seeing and hearing is a
yeah,
special gift. It's quite a special gift, Ellie, and to be able to then pass that on
yeah.
to the ladies at church or the youth at church in your manner. You are
Mm.
always someone that I watch. Don't take this the right way. I don't stalk you at church, but I watch you at church like I do a lot of people, and I just think you
Yeah,
just seem serene and engaged, and always fascinated by what's going on, but also in people. And you don't have to say anything, and you're an example to us. So let me just say that, because it's
thank you.
everybody looks
Yeah,
for
thank
other
you.
things, but actually being interested in people and engaged. And they talk
Yeah,
about nowadays saying, are you present? Because we talk about whether you're present in a meeting and paying
yeah,
attention.
yeah,
Certainly if you're
yeah.
doing online meetings. So, but you're always that. So that's lovely. Looking forward, how would you like God to use you in the future?
I think my answer with that again is not again just not something I think an awful lot about, but I'd probably say, well, however he sees fit really is probably the answer.
Mm,
You know, life changes a bit. So for us, with all the children having left and um, Chris as a ministry, sort of doing more, traveling more as a ministry, and I'm usually able to be with him. So it feels like we're shifting into another season where we're going to Market Harbour very regularly, and Wakefield, and the other, you know, Atherstone and Leamington. And most of the time I can go with him and just be sort of there supporting that congregation and kind of really being for them when we're there. He might be preaching, but I yeah, it's good. We're enjoying that, but I see myself as going there to support him, but also to for that congregation to think, well, I'm here, and it's a privilege for me to be with you and to sort of bless them when we're there. Thing that we're in at the minute.
yeah, and being an elder's wife is quite there's an almost there's an expectation that you do those things, Ellie, but obviously you bring something to the table, as do all the wives bring something to the
Yeah,
table, even though the husband's the elder.
yeah,
But you bring a
yeah,
lot to that table, which is lovely, and you enjoy it as well, which sounds good.
yeah. It's you know you miss. I mean, I miss being at Central when we're not there very much. But yeah, I think I can see that things are going that way, and that's been in the last couple of years that we're doing more of that sort of travel, and I can see that probably
Mm.
continuing and maybe even going to other places. Um,
And it's great that you're on the same page, because you were saying at the beginning around just have this heart for the church, and
yeah,
and sometimes it's the gentlemen who are elders that have those interests, but it's great that you've got that as well, and you're willing to serve in whatever way he calls you to. um, I was
yeah,
listening to a song the other day called "Your Will Be Done," and
mm,
that's that's pretty much what you're saying is, hey, I don't really need to plan, because I'll just
yeah,
see what you lay in front of me, Lord, and your will be done.
yeah. I mean, maybe I should be a lot more. I don't know, a
To
lot
be
more
honest,
purposeful in some.
it's
But
probably for all those listeners out there that always go, it'd be great to hear from Stu at some point, and keep asking. I don't have any. I'm similar. I don't really think that far ahead, and I don't really do a lot of thinking. I would struggle with my own questions on these sort of things because I'm a bit like you. I just see what the Lord says and try and do what He says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which some people find quite complicated, but I find it lovely and simple. Do you have a favourite passage or anything, Ellie, that's sort of like, and why is it so purposeful, meaningful to you?
Yes, again, struggled with this one because then you think it's like picking your favourite child, isn't it? It's like loads of passages. But I landed finally on Psalm 121, where it talks about, I lift up my eyes to the hills or the mountains on that one. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. It's it's a lovely psalm about how He watches over us. When I was first saved and I went to university, because you buy posters, don't you, to put all over your wall, and this was a poster I had with a really beautiful picture and this scripture, or just the first sort of 4 lines. That holds a bit of a place in my heart, just because for so many years that scripture has been kind of in my life, if that makes sense. So that's why I landed on this one, but I could have picked, a few others.
And you go in phases, don't you? Different parts of life.
Yeah.
You go through different passages, don't you?
Yeah,
it's interesting.
absolutely.
When Tamsin, our daughter, she went to the Lake District to study. This was the passage that we gave her, which she literally could look out of her window in her digs and
lovely.
see the mountains, and it was just a great reminder to her. And there are times in life where there are passages that we just need to hold on to. And in this one where He says He won't let your foot slip and He'll keep watch over you, there are some things that we just need to keep stirring in our spirits and keep recalling out loud. It's a passage that's eternal, and you can be refreshed and renewed on this particular passage, because He does it now and forever, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one.
So tell us a little bit about how you came to faith, Ellie, and why do you actually believe in Jesus?
Well, I was born again when I was 17, so teenager. I was brought up, had a really lovely, wonderful childhood, actually. Very, very loved and cared for. My mum had been sort of high Anglican at some point, so we did sometimes go to the church in the village, and I was baptised as a baby, and then I was confirmed when I was about 12. But I don't really remember going to church an awful lot, but I must have done because I was confirmed. But anyway, and then when I was about 15 or 16, our next door neighbours who were born again had kept inviting my parents to these Saturday night celebrations that the church went through quite a revival in the little village, CAB. And thankfully they persevered, the neighbours, and my mum and dad both made a decision for the Lord, recommitted themselves. So a proper decision.
And then they started
inviting me. Yeah, that was when I was about 15 or 16. And they would ask me if I wanted to go to church with them. At some point I was working in a restaurant and waitressing, and thought, I don't want to get up for church, So mum and dad were very casual about it, but they'd invite me to different things, and they invited me to these. They would have these Saturday evening celebrations. Then people would come from all around. It was quite a thing. The spirit kind of really turned up in this little Anglican church, and it caused a sensation at the time. Like, some people were left the church because dancing in the aisles, they couldn't abide that. So I went to quite a few of these Saturday evening celebrations, and I think I was 17. There was nothing missing. I had a very, a lovely family life. I had everything I wanted, really, but I just think I looked at these people and just thought, I want what they've got. whatever that is, I think I want that, even though there was nothing missing, if that made sense. So yeah, and then one of these Saturday evening celebrations, they did an altar call at the end, and without really knowing it, I found myself stood up and walking to the front and being quite tearful. The lady that prayed with me, she said, "Why are you here?" And I don't know. She said, "I don't think you've given your life to Jesus, have you?" And I went, "No." So there's a lady called Sandy led me to the Lord.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was that
was
then?
when I was 17.
And then what's the next phase like then? Did you radically change? Have a different mindset? Did you practice differently? What were the changes that you saw? And why did you think that Jesus was real?
Yeah, I think that night that happened, and I remember someone saying to me afterwards, "Oh, how do you feel?" And I thought, I don't really feel any different. So I think I remember made something. I said, "Oh, I feel really peaceful" or something. But I went home that night and did have a real encounter with God, just me in my bedroom, just sort of crying and worshipping and probably, I don't even know, probably baptized in the Spirit on that occasion. But so from there on, it was a bit of a slow burn. I had no Christian friends. All my friends were not Christians. I was quite into underage clubbing at that point. The youth group, there was 3 people in the youth group. That was it.
My word.
So it was quite difficult, because you're suddenly this thing, but no one around you is this thing, if that makes sense. So I think that I persevered, but I think when I went to university was when I really I don't want to say hit my stride, but I found myself in a type of church. And interestingly, I hadn't been baptized in water when I got to university, and I ended up in the Southport church. And they said, "Oh, you've been baptized?" I went, "Oh, no, it's fine. I don't need to be baptized because I've been baptized as a baby," which is obviously what my C of E church had taught me.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, you really need to get baptized." So that was actually quite a battle. I felt really like, oh, I'll be letting someone down, or one group of Christians. Anyway, that is a long story. So anyway, I got baptized in water a couple of years after I got baptized in the Spirit, simply because of but the C of E, it was a great grounding. But I think when I got to that church at university, and I suddenly had loads of Christian friends, and we saw people being saved in our halls of residence, that's when I really grew, I think.
Yeah. And then obviously you clapped your eyes on your lovely husband, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, yeah.
Brilliant. Over the years then, Ellie, in your faith, I'm guessing there's been some real highs and there's been some lows. How's the Lord sort of like worked with you, helped you through some of those lows? Is there anything that you can talk to us about in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. A number of years ago, I lost both my parents when I was in my 20s. I lost my dad very suddenly to cancer. And then only a few years later than that, lost my mum also to cancer.
Dear.
And then another, my baby nephew also 2 years after that. So it was this almost like a decade of very significant losses, whilst also having the huge highs of having all the children. It was just really intense. So I had the great highs of having the children, but then, sort of parents having died very prematurely, really. And that was really hard. It was a real valley. It was what I now realise is what they call cumulative grief. There's a word for it. And it's grief that's upon grief that's up, because there isn't an awfully big gap between them.
Right.
That was really, really hard, really
Mm.
challenging.
And how did sort of like your faith get you through that? Is there any specific things that sort of like held you tight, or you?
I think one time, certainly after I'd lost my dad, and I like I say, my son was literally a baby. He was 4 months old, so kind of dealing with having your first child and then that happening. But I do remember somebody just saying to me, "Oh, your dad wouldn't want you to lose your faith," and almost thinking, "Oh gosh, yeah, dad wouldn't have wanted that," which was not that that's what held me, but kind of thinking of that. But looking back, God does comfort us when we grieve, and we can't always see it at the time, but afterwards that you've been really, really held. I had a specific instance after my nephew died, actually, because then I remember I was walking to pick the kids up from school and just thinking, another thing, another person. Am I just called just to lose people, God? And he spoke scripture to me about when character produces perseverance, character, and character hope. And I remember just feeling really stopped in my tracks at the word hope. When that scripture came to me, it's like that was the beginning of feeling very different, and he sort of restored hope to me again. That things would be all right. He's a wonderful comfort and kind of brings you through.
Yeah.
I remember a relative saying to me, I think this was when I lost my mum, and she said to me, "Oh, you're in a very dark place, aren't you?" And I remember thinking, no, and I actually said to her, no, I know I'm not in a dark place. I'm in an extremely sad place, and I'm extremely, literally brokenhearted, but I'm in a dark place. Like, God's not put me in a dark place. Yeah, so that's just a few occasions where I felt.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and he just carries you, doesn't he?
It's interesting. I say cumulative grief. You can have long phases of different things hitting you. It's not always loss in people,
No.
but you can have challenge after challenge after challenge, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It can be as simple as just hearing a word around hope or a passage or something, and you hang on. And while he never leaves us, we may not be as close as we would like, carrying us. He's there looking after us, isn't he? Walking with us.
He doesn't move, does he?
No, he's just totally consistent, isn't he? And despite everything, he's just consistent. It's lovely. Do you, when you look at your life, is there any areas where you feel that it's like Jesus has really changed your thoughts or behaviors in any way that sort of like you just go, yeah, I was like that, but I'm like this now?
That's a good one, isn't it? I mean, we both know, don't we, having walked with God for many years, that you're always on a journey and you're always being challenged and changed. And there's probably lots of examples, but I can't think of any sort of top of my head.
No, that's fine. Tell us about, is there any books? Do you have a favourite Christian book? And if so, what is it? Why?
Yes. There's a book by Max Lucado, and it's called Glory Days. And it is a book about all on the book of Joshua. And there's almost like a chapter for each chapter in the book of Joshua. And it's all about those glory days that Israel had when they were taking the land. And it's a really good book. It's a lot about believers and whether we're living in promised land and really believing the word, or whether we're kind of still letting ourselves still be in the wilderness or still be in Egypt. I've actually read it a couple of times, so I highly recommend it. Glory Days by Max Lucado. And it's an easy read. It's not It's not highfalutin theology. I think anyone could read that and enjoy it.
And the gist of it again is just, are we living in the promises that God's already laid in front of us?
Yeah. And the things that, are we living in what He's already bought for us? That comes through in the book quite a lot. What He's already done for us, are we living in that by faith?
That is a challenge, and
it is a challenge.
As we start to draw to a close, we've got 2 or 3 more questions, Ellie. Tell us, if you were to meet a non-Christian, and you had 3 minutes with them, what would you want to be talking to them about?
I think with any non-Christian, you can't beat your own testimony and what God has done for you, because nobody can argue with that. Nobody can bring science into it or theology into it. Just simply saying, this is what He's done for me, this is how He's changed my life. I don't think you can beat that, really, because no one can tell you that's wrong. With anyone, if you say, and obviously I have done this and do this sometimes. Well, what can I say? And then when going back to when you're going through hard things, and what you learn from it, and then what you can testify to other people, you say, you know what, he carried me through. He taught me so much. He's given me a hope and a purpose and a destination. So I always think you can't beat the power of testimony with a non-believer. So I'd probably start there with my 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Tell them what He's done for me. And
it's powerful, isn't it, when we describe that hope and what He's given us, not a hope for the future, but also what He's given us for today. A bit of back to your book, really. So some people have got those gaps and are looking for those missing pieces, and just being able to say, hey, and this is how those gaps were filled for me, is quite important for somebody else to hear, isn't it? So brilliant. If you, as we get to the end of our lives, we look back and we wish, hey, what would our legacy be? And obviously we're lucky. I hope we've still got a number of years ahead of us. We've still got a chance to lay that legacy. What would you like yours to be, Ellie?
I think for me the most important thing in my life is my children, and having, apart from Christ obviously, and having that they're my legacy, and having that as a mum, as a mother, maybe a mother in the church as well as an actual mother, if that makes sense. So I like to think that that's what kind of defines me.
Yeah.
Is that
and your kids are great. Your kids are great.
Yeah, they're all right. They're okay.
They're all right. They're all right. No, they are. They're great when you see what they're all doing. That they're walking, what they're doing, walking in faith.
Yeah.
And it's credit to both of you. But it's not everyone's story. Blessed. It's not everybody's story, is it? And so
no, it's not. And actually, I often think, it's not actually about what we did and didn't do. It's that right now they're making really good choices, and their choices are how their lives are going that way. Do you know what I mean? It's you can do exactly the same things as we did, and children make different choices. There's never I never take that for granted.
Yeah, and obviously when you're talking about the stuff that you do in your workplace, people have made different choices and not even had the same opportunities, and you can see life go down a very different route. So it's I could good bit of wisdom there. Last question for you then, Ellie. Have you got any final words of encouragement, for our listeners around about using gifts or passions or anything that you think the Lord's saying that you'd like to just finish with?
I think I would encourage everyone to be themselves and not try to be anything or like somebody else. Just be yourself and God will use you. And I'd said this to some young people before, God can still use you even if you're not feeling prepared or feeling full of the word or full of faith. God can use you. And, this has happened to be multiple occasions where you're merrily enjoying the meeting and then someone says, right, can the elders and wives come and pray for people? And I'm like, I don't feel prepared for this. I haven't prayed about this. I haven't prepared myself. And then I just remember that, do you know what? God just wants willingness. And on those occasions, I've said, God, I'm not very prepared for this, but I'm willing. So use me if you will, in humility. And maybe I should have prepared for that, but I think God just wants willing hearts.
Yeah.
And people that can be themselves. And he'll do all we can do. And we can all do, we're all on a journey. We can all do better or be better, but I think he just wants willing hearts half the time. You don't need to have a degree in theology or to have prepared for 3 hours before you bring an encouragement or a prophetic.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that screams loud and clear tonight for me, Ellie, is that you've got a willing heart, whether it's support going into the church, looking after your staff, the people that you work with, youth stuff. And that bit around that you said earlier is that you don't really need a plan because God's the plan and you just need to listen and do. And if you have a willing heart and you humble yourself, it's all laid out. And he'll use you as and when, sometimes when we least expect it. So, credit to you.
Sometimes I'm not very willing. Sometimes, I'm frustrated with people or I'm late. Do you know what I mean? Lazy or whatever. But, I think we must give ourselves a break and just being ourselves will bring, if we believe that each one has or each part of the body is really important, then whatever you have is just as important.
Definitely. Well, Ellie, thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. Listeners, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. As you all know, in 2 Timothy 1, Paul speaks to Timothy and encourages to fan the gift that's within him, because God's not given us a gift. God's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. Look, it's great to be able to hear people's testimonies and have hope, but we need to encourage others and we need to speak into their lives. So have a look to the left or to the right this week. Is there someone that could be encouraged? Is there someone that you can speak into? Is there something you need to talk to God about how he is able to use you this week? So look, this week, just enjoy being who you are and doing things for his eternal purposes, and be blessed and be a blessing. And we'll see you and hear you on the next podcast. So thank you, Ellie, and goodbye, everyone.
Welcome.